Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet this cat-eared beanie. It's so super easy, so super simple, great for a beginner, fun for the advanced. I mean, think of all the colors that you could use. It's really cute. So let's go ahead and I'll talk about the yarn that I used. All right, before we talk about the yarn, I do want to mention that when you make this hat here, this beanie, it actually looks like a square. See that? That's what it looks like. But once it goes onto your head, you have the rounded part of your head, it curves around the rounded part of your head. And since it's square, it makes those ears pop out like that. So it's so easy. Now this is made with all half double crochet, except for the bottom has a row of single crochet to finish it off. And there is no visible seam at all because we're going to be working in a continual round. The only place we sew it is at the top. We sew it together. All right, so the yarn that I use for this particular hat that you see is the Caron Colorama Halo. Now, this is an acrylic nylon polyester yarn. Now, they classify this as a 5-weight. It's not a 5-weight. You want to use a 4-weight. Any 4-weight will work, or you can use this because this is definitely a 4-weight yarn. I think you all would agree with me on that. So you don't have to use this. Any 4-weight yarn will be fine. I just use the yellow here to kind of match my kitty that I have at home. The color, though, if you're interested, that I'm using is called Beeswax Frost. And the yardage is, there's 481 yards or 440 meters. For this particular hat, you're probably just going to need about 100 and probably 150 yards. And what's that in meters? 135 meters, something like that, to finish this hat. I'm going to show you with a different yarn. For the tutorial purposes, since this is a fuzzy yarn, I'm just going to be using just a plain 4-weight yarn to show you how to start it. All right, so it's easier to see. And then the hook size, we're going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Let's go ahead and get started. So for this particular, hat size of approximately 19 to 20 inch head circumference, you're going to want to start out with a chain of 60. Now, if you want to make it, for like toddler size or whatever, you could probably do about a chain of 45, I would say, would be fine. And then if you need it for bigger, like 23 to 24, probably a chain of 72 would work well for that. Okay, so this hat is worked from the bottom up, and it's like super simple to do, but you gotta admit it's pretty stinking cute. I mean, even for kids and adults, it's cute. Gender neutral. So I'm starting with a chain of 60, and what I'm going to do is connect it to make one large ring. Like I said, we'll be working from the bottom up, and then, like I said, then we're just going to kind of sew the top together. It kind of creates the ears on its own because it's just so easy. Let's do it. So I got a chain of 60 here. So what I'm going to do is follow it down all the way without twisting my chain. And I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form one big large ring. Just like that. Now I'm going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. Now this entire piece here is going to be working half double crochets, half doubles. So what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to go back into that first stitch here that we just slip stitched into, very first one that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to do a half double crochet, just like that. And then we're going to work around our chain, and we're going to put 1 half double crochet into every single stitch. Now, a good tip to avoid your chain from twisting because I know a lot of people have trouble with their chain twisting, is when you are looking at your chain, always make sure that you're going into the front side of your chain, because as you're working, see, here's the front side of my chain, sometimes the chain will twist around and you won't realize it, and you'll start working in the back, and then when you get back around to the beginning, your chain's twisted. So just consistently put 1 half double crochet in the front side of your chain, 1 in every stitch, half double crochet. And then I'm gonna meet back with you when we get back around to our starting point. Just like that. All right, so I'm coming to the end of round 1, and you should have a total of 60 stitches. And for every round from now on, you'll have 60 stitches, you know, if you're following along with me. Don't worry about the bottom looking a little, if it looks a little janky, we'll take care of that. But what we're going to do now to end the round, we are not going to slip stitch into our first half double crochet. We're actually going to work in continual rounds, so there will be no visible seam on the hat, which is always good. So you're going to need a stitch marker of some sort. I'm just going to use a piece of yarn. So you want to put it here between your first stitch and your last stitch. That way you know where you start and where you end every row. All right, now what we're going to do for row 2 is actually the repeat row from here on out, is we're going to jump over to the first half double crochet, and we're going to half double crochet into it. We're not going to slip stitch, but we're going to half double into it. Do this one kind of tight, this first one here. Like that. And now we're going to work around, and we're going to work 1 half double crochet in every single stitch until we get back to our stitch marker. So very, very easy. We're just working half doubles all the way around. So I'm going to continue around for round 2, working 1 half double crochet in every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you when we make it back to the stitch marker. All right, so I've made it back to my stitch marker on round 2, and you should have 60 stitches. So right here's my stitch marker, and this is my first stitch here and my last stitch here. So I'm going to go ahead and move my marker up and begin round 3. And round 3 is the exact same as round 2. If I can get it in place here. There we go. Now we're just going to jump to the first half double crochet and half double crochet into it. And we're going to work around putting 1 half double crochet in every single stitch until we make it back to our stitch marker. And this is what we're going to do until we get it to the height that we want it to be. It's just rounds and rounds and rounds of half double crochet. Very easy to do, very quick to do. Every time you make it back to your stitch marker, you want to make sure that you have 60 stitches. Then you just move your stitch marker up and begin again. 1 half double crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to continue my rounds of half double crochet, and I'll let you know how many total rounds that I do here in just 1 second. All right, so I've made it as tall as I want it to be. I've done a total of 17 rows, and here I am at my stitch marker at the end of the 17th or row or round or whatever. I'll go ahead and give you a little measurement though of how tall it is at this point. At this point it is 7.5 inches. Now, if you are making it a taller size, you probably only want to do to about 5.5 inches. And if you're going to make it for like the 23 to 24, I would do like another inch, so like 8.5. All right. Now, once you get that done, what we're going to do is you should still have your 60 stitches. We're going to go to the stitch that has our stitch marker, and we're going to slip stitch into it. And we're going to pull out a long tail because we're going to use that for sewing. All right, so pull out a long tail and clip it. And then you can take that stitch marker out. All right, so we don't need that anymore. So what we're going to do is pretty much just kind of sew up the top. So this is the right side of my work. This is the side of work that I want to face me. So I'm going to flip it wrong side out. So when I sew it, the seam, and then I flip it right side out again, the seam will be on the inside. So go ahead and take your tail here. It's up here at the top. Kind of put it on the side. Now you can do this a couple different ways. You can sew it together by slip stitching it, or you can use your yarn needle and sew it together by hand. I think I'm just going to slip stitch this time. So I'm going to take this tail here, and I'm going to go through that stitch that the tail, this up here does not have to be perfect. The stitch that tail is in, and then the opposite stitch on the other side, going through both loops, and I'm going to pull it through like that. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch, and then the next stitch on the opposite side of the hat and slip stitch. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch here at the top and the next stitch on the opposite side. I'm going through both loops on both pieces. Again, the next stitch and the next stitch on the opposite side. So you can see we're just slip stitching it together, matching up the stitches. And we're going to do this all the way across till we get to the other side. So we're closing up our top. These cat hats are so easy to make. They're just kind of a square. Maybe a little bit of rectangle, I guess. But as you can see, I'm just slip stitching all the way across, going into this stitch on this side and the same stitch on the opposite side, and slip stitch. So I'm going to continue that until I get all the way across here to the other side. All right, so I've made it to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, wow, I didn't have much tail left there. I'm going to hide this tail. I'll do that in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is flip it right side out again, because remember we sewed it inside out. So I'm going to flip it right side out, and right here the corners will be the ears. I know it looks funny, doesn't, like it's not going to work out, but it works out. So pop them corners out there, and now you got a nice clean seam at the top. So what I'm going to do now, this hat is not meant to fold up. So I know some cat ear hats fold up. I'm not a big fan of folding hats, so I didn't make mine to fold. I guess that's always something you can do, just by making it taller. But I'm going to go around the bottom now and clean up that bottom edge with the row of single crochet. So we got, remember, we got the right side of our work facing us. So you can start in any stitch down here on the bottom, just any stitch, and pull your yarn through. And I'm going to work one single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to go back into that same stitch that I just went into and single crochet. And then I'm going to work around, putting one single crochet into every stitch all the way around my entire piece. Now technically, when you get back around, you should have 60 stitches, because that is what we started with. But as long as you have something close to that, I think that will be just fine. So all the way around the bottom here, working one single crochet. We're not working half doubles now. One single into every stitch. This is the finishing row on the bottom, until we make it back around to our starting point right here. All right, so I made it back to my starting point after that row of single crochet, and just end by slip stitching into your first one, tie off, and hide any tails that you have, and your hat will be finished. Really, really easy. Really, really fun beanie, actually. It was pretty fun. I've had a lot of people ask me to do this, and I don't know why I never did it before. I guess because it actually is a cute, fun beanie. Yeah, just hide your tails. I go one way and then back the opposite direction, and then I'll lock that tail into place. For some reason I cannot find my scissors. It's like that on every tutorial that I do. So there we go. I will clip that later. Let me show you so this is what it looks like. It just basically looks like a square. You're probably wondering, you know, how's that gonna look? I'll show you real quick. All right, so this is what it looks like after, you know, it's square, but when you put it on your head, it becomes the rounded part of your head. It, you know, goes to that, but since it's square, these ends stick out like ears, and that's how it's made. Sorry, my mannequin's hair needs brushed, but that's what it looks like. It's super cute. I really like it. I hope that you enjoy my tutorial. Remember, if you make this, show me a picture on Facebook or Instagram. I'd like to see yours. Super quick, super easy, super fun, all different colors you can make. And remember, I mean, there's no seam at all the way around it. It has no seam, which is always a plus in my book. There's a back. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button. Bye guys.